Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Peter Winnick. I'm the founder and CEO of Thought Leadership Leverage, and you're joining us on the podcast today, which is Leveraging Thought Leadership. Today, my guest comes to us from the other side of the pond. His name is Simon Leslie. He's the author of a book called There Is No F in Sales. He's the chief executive officer and co-founder of InkGlobal.com. For the last 26 years, he's built a media company focused on the travel sector. He's proud to have developed a fantastic work culture at Ink. The book documents 33 years in business, his highs, his lows, and many learnings over the years. And instead of reading his elaborate bio, I'll just talk to Simon because he's sitting right here with me. So welcome aboard, Simon.
Nice to be here, Peter.
So here you are, chugging away, running a business that's growing really, really nicely, right, in the media space, in a tightly competitive space. And you wake up one day and you say, I don't have enough to do, so I'm looking for things to do. So I'm going to write a book and dive into this thought leadership thing. So first off, what the heck were you thinking? And then how did that work out?
You know what it is? When you've done something really nice and you've done it for so long, and people are not giving you the credit that you deserve, or you don't think they're giving you the credit you deserve, and you want to put a flag in the ground that this is a great business. This is a business that has been ignored by many a brand over the years. That people have discarded. Part of our business is we produce magazines for airlines, and I needed a vehicle to get that message out there and tell people how good a business this is, what a unique culture we had, how we'd defied the industry, like you said, this industry has been dead for, I don't know, half a dozen years.
Sure.
And we're still growing at 20%, 25% actually last year. And it doesn't make any sense. And that was some of the sort of the headline of the book. Nothing needs to make sense. That there's a different way of doing things, and you can lead even without the knowledge.
So it's probably fair to say that the genesis of writing the book is really you wanted to tell the story. You want to sort of capture some of the magic that is Ink Global from a growth perspective and a cultural perspective, as well as pride. Right? It's nice to be proud of something that you've built that's enduring. But I would venture to say you probably looked at this as sort of a project in isolation, want to get it out there, want to do it, not necessarily something that could be connected so much to the growth of the business and serve some of the business objectives. Is that a fair statement?
I wanted to share some of the secrets and some of the demons that hold most entrepreneurs back, or some of the challenges that they're going to face starting a business now, building a business, halfway through a business. We've been through so many challenges, and as we start 2020, this is already a challenging
understatement.
roller coaster year already. I feel confident. I don't feel nervous about it. We've been through many of these challenges over the last decade.
Sure.
And we came out stronger and better from all of them. And what the book does, it gives other people a blueprint to look at the point in time they are now and say, look, actually, someone else has already made these mistakes. We don't have to make them as well.
So, the book's been out several months now. Tell us what you know now that you didn't know when you started, in terms of what you learned about what it takes to write a book, to create a book, to publish a book, to get it in the hands of the folks that you want to connect with.
What I didn't know was how far it would go. I get emails daily from people in as far as Georgia and Australia and Canada and Minnesota, and people have picked up the book and they've seen it either in one of my publications, so either aboard a plane or on a screen in one of the airports, and they bought it. They like the title, and they say, you captured things that I thought were my problems. I didn't realize other people had the same problems or the same challenges, or you helped me deal with demons that I hadn't been able to bury, or I paid a a psychiatrist to
right
a lot of money to give me the answer to that, and you articulated it beautifully in one chapter. So I think the confidence I've got from writing the book, 6 months ago, the last chapter talks about, was I just lucky, or was this, was this planned? And since the book's been out, I actually feel more confident. I feel more
very cool,
successful. I feel more, this is this actually hasn't been a bit of luck. This has actually been quite an interesting journey.
Yeah. So let's take off your CEO hat for a minute, right? And just put on this relatively new hat, which is author, thought leader, etc. Right. So now at this stage of the game, on the business side, experienced, you know what you're doing, you know how to run a business, but now you're putting on this new hat of Simon, the author, the speaker, the thought leader. What does that look like for you now? What opportunities has it opened for you? What is how have you started looking at things differently because of that? Going through the experience.
I can't actually believe how much I've changed.
Really?
Having really, really different conversations with people. I challenge people in a different way because I'm thinking about it from their point of view, and I'm saying, okay, how are you positioning this? Why are you positioning it this way? Why are you looking at it so short term? Why is everything about return on investment today, tomorrow, this quarter, next quarter? Why? It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in business for the long term, but most people are operating in a much narrower time frame than they need to, and they're not thinking about what's good for the business as the business evolves. And I think it's given me this sense of belief that I didn't have before, because I always felt, I operated like an operator,
Right.
not somebody who was actually thinking, well, where are we going next and how are we going to get there and who are we going to bring with us?
So is it a more thoughtful, a little bit more detached from the actual operating of the business? Because it's hard to be knee deep in a business from an operational perspective. How's the week going? How's the quarter going? Are we hitting our numbers? What is my hair on fire? And also be sort of a thought leader and an author, which is by your very nature, you're thinking about things, you're noodling over things, you're comparing them to other things. You're not subject to a deadline of by Friday at 3 at the staff meeting, this needs to be done. Is it that cadence that's a little bit different for you?
I've taken so much stress out of my life.
Really?
All the the deadlines that you run to, or the fires you're running from, have really dampened down. Even with the crises that are going on right now, I can see clearly or I know clearly that we're going to come out of this stronger, much more powerful, much more opportunity than there
Mm-hmm.
is today. And I can see how I can help a lot more people.
Excellent. If you're enjoying this episode of Leveraging Thought Leadership, please make sure to subscribe. If you'd like to help spread the word about our podcast, please leave us a review and share it with your friends. We're available on Apple Podcast and on all major listening apps, as well as at thoughtleadershipleverage.com/podcasts. What about doors that it's opened? So what I mean by that is, a year ago, when you weren't Simon, the published author, right? If you wanted to go speak somewhere, you're Simon, the CEO and founder of, right? So the business sort of defined you, right? And in some ways that opens doors, but in some ways it's limited. Have you found sort of new doors, and that, and maybe that, a podcast like this, or opportunities that the book has opened for you that you wouldn't have opened for you, just a year ago?
100%. I've been on so many podcasts. I've managed to have conversations with people who are hard to reach, who are so-called gurus. I had a business which has, I don't know, 1.5 billion interactions a year with real powerful consumers. Yet writing a book, a 200-page book, gets me access to people that would just, wouldn't even take me seriously before.
So let's talk about that, because I mean, you and I know each other fairly well at this point. You're a curious person. You're a learner. You read all sorts of interesting books, and I think what I'm hearing is you're sort of now in the club. When you reach out to another published author, you can say, you're not just sort of fanboy. Oh my God, I love your stuff. I love your stuff. Would you please waste a half hour of your life talking with me? You're like, hey, I've written a book as well. So it's just sort of coming at it almost as a colleague or a peer. Is that those experiences happened?
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think people want to hear what I've got to say now, as opposed to, even though I had this successful formula, I guess people maybe it's just me. Maybe I just changed. Maybe I started believing more in the formula, that it wasn't just a little bit of luck. 26 years of overnight.
Sure. How many times have you heard from friends, whether it's social, personal, or professional, after you wrote the book, like, oh, geez, I always wanted to write one, or I've got one in my head. And, all of a sudden people start coming out of the woodwork. Like there's one that they want to write, but they look at you and go, but by George, you did it. How many of those have you had?
Not only that, they also say, well, you're obviously too important to speak to, millions like me now. So,
yeah, well, exactly. Even better. but how many folks have shared that sentiment with you?
a lot of people have been a lot more supportive than I expected. And I think people have read the book, and the people who know me have talked about, it feels like you're sitting on my shoulder reading to me. It's not, the book is very conversational. It's written in a very, very easy to read style. So even if people don't know me, they get a sense of what I'm like very quickly. And I got an email this morning from somebody who said, just in big letters, loving it. You come through in this book perfectly.
Awesome. So I want to touch on something that you said there. So you're not an academic, right? You're not someone with a lot of fancy letters after your name. And you talk about all this in the book. School was not your favorite place to be, on and on and on and on. So I would imagine some of this it was just a challenge to say, yeah, I'm going to write a book. Me? Right? Yet here we are. And you don't try to bamboozle people and hide behind, big words and hyperbole and nonsense. It's very, very, it does feel like you're sitting on my shoulder.
I guess the thing that drives that is everybody telling me you can't do it or you shouldn't do it. I mean, that's been the driver of me and my business for the last 25 years. This company's going nowhere, or you'll never make it, or you're not going to be good enough, or you're never going to survive this recession. You're going to fall apart. You'll never. It's like it's been such a constant battle, and the book was no different. And
Yeah.
everybody said to me, "You can't publish a book like this. You can't do it like this. You have to do it like this. This is this way, that way. You have to do it." And I did everything opposite to what everybody told me what to do. And I've raised, coming up for about nearly $10,000 for charity. Every penny profit from the book is going to charity. So it's been a successful venture for raising money as well. And for me, it's defied the odds, and that's been the story of my life, I think, in some ways.
Very cool. So let's talk for a minute about now the book, which was sort of a project that you did for lots of reasons. Now it actually presents you with some opportunities to integrate it into the business, from a sales side of the business, from a culture side of the business, etc. Talk about sort of some of the things that you're pondering around that, which may not have been on your plate or on your radar when you started the process.
I get plenty of opportunities to go and speak now. People want to hear me talk, which is nice, and I'm very comfortable talking and being in front of an audience. It gives me a chance to talk about what we do as a business, to talk about our culture, to talk about the unique things that we do as a media business, and how we continue to thrive against whatever the market throws at us.
So I want to pause there for a minute. So a year ago, you're just as accomplished, just as successful, but you probably weren't getting invited to speakers. They're going to go, okay, CEO of Inc. Global, ultimately he's probably going to try to make the case that we should buy some advertising from his organization, right? Because that's what a good steward of the company does. Now you're not even talking about that stuff, but it's great for the business, right? You're talking about culture, you're talking about obstacles, you're talking about the struggles of an entrepreneur, and you're getting into other places. By the way, I would argue there's also a primary benefit to the business of some of those people are buying advertising.
So much so that I've actually realized how grossly undervalued my media is when I go out there and I talk about it, and people say, well, I didn't actually think about it like that, or I'd ignored that, or I've been spending X million dollars on trying to chase some digital lookalike, and actually there's this huge vacuum of travelers who are incredibly affluent, who are hard to reach, who are not scared of going out there and being out there and doing and spending money. It's something that is quite unique now, that when you're traveling, you spend about 4 or 5x what you might do when you're sitting at home or in the office.
Sure.
So
right.
I get the chance to tell that story, and I have more people come up to me and go, well, okay, but how can I get my brand in there? Or, is there something you can do for me? I mean, even Simon Sinek, I called him out at one of his events, and he came afterwards. He said, well, who are you? You're just a cheeky chappy in the audience.
Yep.
And I told him what I do. He goes, I want to be in that magazine. I want to be in one of your magazines. And I said, fine. I said, here's the deal. You come and see me in the office, and no, give me half an hour of your time, and I'll get you in the magazine. And he was good to his word, and not only did he do the one-to-one, he actually did come to the office and he sat and he mingled my team, and it allows me to just spread the message with a I don't know, credibility is the right word.
Yeah, I think so. Well, and I would also say if you had two different events to go to today on behalf of the business, one is I'm going to talk to a bunch of companies that could buy my advertising, about the power of advertising and the captive audience and all the metrics that you have at Inc. Or I'm just going to talk about no F in sales. I'm just going to talk about my book, my story, whatever. Which one's going to put the fire in your belly a little bit more, and you're going to look forward to a bit more, right?
So that's a difficult question.
It's like, which of your kids do you like better?
I love you all equally. I think that the two things actually do marry well. I think I can blend them, because the book is about 26 years of being in this business. It's about the highs, the lows. It's about dealing with failure and success and winning and losing, and that's what people want to hear. People want to hear the difficult times. They don't really want to know that you're doing 25% growth. They don't care. They want to know, how did you deal with when your staff started writing on Glassdoor what a bastard you were to work for? How did you deal with that? Because in the book, that is one of the it's one of the stories I share. I say, look, somebody wrote this was worse than hell, and I'm thinking, that's an airport in Finland?
Right. Exactly. All right. So as we start to wrap up, think about a couple of folks listening right now today that are in the space that you were 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. The book wasn't even on your radar, but they're successful, started a business, the business is doing well, but there's maybe this little kindling in their back of their brain somewhere of a story they'd like to tell someday, or might want to tell someday, or could tell one day. What would you say to them?
I sat on this book for about 2 months because I thought, I don't want to publish this. I don't want to air my dirty laundry in public. I'm not sure I want this to be out there. Do I need to tell everyone what's going right or wrong in my life? No, I don't need it. And then I don't know what happened. One day I woke up and I went, I've put so much love and energy into it. I've got to get it done. And I published it. And I promise you, I've never felt so satisfied. So if anybody's thinking about it, just do it, because it'll allow you. It's cathartic. It gives you, that sense of, it gives you a legacy for your kids. Your kids are going to read it. People, long after I'm gone, people are probably still reading this book and saying, that's how we should run a sales organization, or that's how, I'm going to go and do business, because that's what.
There's a bit of the legacy component as well, right?
Absolutely. I think that my kids tell me they have read it, but I'm not sure I believe them. But I do know one day that it'll be there, and there'll be things in there that they'll know about me that they might have forgotten, or they didn't know about me. So I think it's a wonderful thing to do for yourself, just to document some of the things you've done.
Excellent. Well, this has been fantastic. I appreciate your time, and this was a lot of information and learning and transparency here. So good stuff. Thank you so much today, Simon.
My pleasure. Good to speak to you.
Thanks. To learn more about Thought Leadership Leverage, please visit our website at thoughtleadershipleverage.com. To reach me directly, feel free to email me at peter@thoughtleadershipleverage.com. And please subscribe to Leveraging Thought Leadership on iTunes or your favorite podcast app to get your weekly episode automatically.